góðan daginn allir, velkomnir á þennan fyrirlestur hjá Glen. Áður en við byrjum þá ætla ég bara að láta vita að það verða gefnir 2 miðar í Azure próf, Microsoft próf réttar sagt. Þannig að þeir sem verða á fyrirlestrinum og fylgjast með eiga möguleika að fá gefins próf. Ef þú spyr spurninga þá eykur það möguleikann á því að fá próf. Þannig að ég mæli með því að koma með spurningar eða hafa einhverjar spurningar. En þá bara byrjum við á þessu. Hi everybody. We have here Glen here, which is going to go through IoT. So I'm just going to give him the word. So Glen, just start your thing. Hello.
Good morning, everyone. Good noon. I hope that everyone can hear me.
Yep, I can hear you.
Hello, I hope this is fine. So let's start. So thank you for having me. I'm going to give you a guided tour through everything related on Azure IoT.
We're muted.
Hello. Yeah, this should be fine. Sorry for the hiccup. So my name is Glen. I work for a company called Azure. I'm an Azure MVP, an Azure advisor. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer. I have been working with Azure for several years, since 2014. And this is me with my wife visiting Iceland a couple of years ago. So unfortunately, this session is virtual, but nevertheless, we will try to have fun, and hopefully in one of the coming years, I have the opportunity to revisit Iceland. So, as already mentioned, I work for Azure. Azure is focusing on Azure Platform as a Service. It has been focusing since Azure on its foundation. 2011, we have 4 MVPs, offices in Helsinki, Finland, and Ghent, Belgium. And we last year we were the Partner of the Year finalist for application innovation. So with no further ado, let's talk about the things that we were here for. Let's talk about IoT. So IoT is about getting those things connected and creating insights and actions on that. One of the most important decisions that a company or a group of company needs to decide when they will start with IoT, if they will go for platform as a service or software as a service. So the biggest advantage of platform as a service also comes with the biggest challenge on itself. The fact that you're in full control of the scalability sets and so on. With software as a service, all of these things come out the box and are delivered for you. But even that choice of platform as a service and software as a service, another important choice is to have IoT, to really treat IoT as a strategic project within your company. Don't just do IoT because you want to do IoT. You have to really integrate it strategically within your company. You really have to think on how mature that IoT solutions are within the company. So before we go into details, I want to run you quickly through the Microsoft offerings regarding IoT. So first of all, there's the Azure IoT solutions. So the Azure IoT solutions, you can see those as the software as a service offerings. There's IoT Central, which is really, you can see that as the Office 365 for IoT. And then you have the IoT accelerators and connected field services. Then we enter the area of the platform as a service services on the Azure offering, and that's there you can see IoT Hub, streaming analytics, digital twins, time series insights, device provisioning service, and so on. More in details on those later. And then of course, we're seeing more and more of these IoT solutions being enabled for the edge. And having that edge support is really quite important these days. Think about IoT Edge, Databox Edge, and the services SDK. Next to the whole services offering, there's also an offering that that focuses more on the device area. Think about microcontrollers, window IoT, and the edge devices itself, bringing compute capabilities from Azure towards the edge. So we're not going to focus on these areas. The session of today will most likely or will mostly focus on everything regarding platform as a service and the software as a service offerings of Azure. Let's talk on the Azure IoT solutions. So we, the Azure IoT solutions, as already mentioned, you can see those as the more software as a service offerings of Azure. Some important things or important focus areas that you need to think about if your company or if you to decide to go software as a service, if you go for software as a service for your project or for your company. Important things, software as a service, think about the extensibility. So when you decide to implement that platform, make sure that you have the possibility to hook in your own business logic to extend that application beyond its default actions. So you really have to make sure that there's an important extensibility over there. The next important focus is the offering. What offering does that software as a service product cover for you? How much of your business requirement does it cover? And what do you need to implement yourself to really cover your entire business case? And of course, the most important thing is the roadmap. Make sure that the roadmap of the software as a service solution that you're implementing is further aligned with your roadmap and with the capabilities that you might or might not need in the future. So one of the offerings that Azure has is the Azure IoT Solution Accelerators. And the Azure IoT Solution Accelerators are a set of, let us say, pre-configured solutions that you can get from GitHub. You can spin those up, and those are already working end-to-end IoT solutions ready for you to use. Those are open source, fully customizable, and as already said, are ready for you to use as a starting place. Now, it is important to mention that these solution accelerators, as said, are a great way to start, and are more, you can see those more as a, let us say, a reference implementations of IoT. So those are there to have reference architectures for you to build your own solutions. One of those solutions is the remote monitoring. So it has device connectivity, data processing, data analytics, and a full presentation layer for you to use. What is interesting about the remote monitoring solution is that a lot of IoT solutions require what is called a sort of rules engine, to define certain rules that can trigger certain actions on certain telemetry points or when things happen inside your solutions. The good thing about this remote monitoring open source solution is that you can, for example, pick pieces of those solutions and start using them in your own IoT solutions. For example, remote monitoring has an entire rule engine defined, and therefore, as a matter of demo, what I'm doing is I have extracted that rule engine out of the remote monitoring solution, and I'm using that in the next demo. So if we would go to this URL, you will see that this remote monitoring solution is just an open source product. If we go back to the slide deck, you will see here that if you go to the Azure Stream Analytic Manager, just remind me later here, this is just a microservice that is part of the remote monitoring solution that you can freely use. So what I did is inside IoT, inside Azure, I've extracted the Stream Analytics query. I've added it here. I've connected that with my IoT Hub and with my input of my rules. So let's just quickly jump to IoT Hub. IoT Hub, what I did is a simple setup, and what I did is I've added a simulated device here that will transmit data towards IoT Hub, and then it will forward data to Stream Analytics. Next thing what I did was extract the rule definition from that open source solution and added some sort of rules to that entry point. So here, what we're doing is we're creating some sort of actions here when certain thresholds are hit. The advantage here, again, some things are pre-configured that you can have aggregation windows instance or aggregation windows that will calculate the humidity over a period of time. What I did is, as an output, I connected my my output of my Stream Analytics to just post me a message on Slack that that there's an alert being received. So if we now would trigger that message simulator, you would see that that message simulator will start throwing out messages towards my IoT Hub that will be picked up by my streaming analytics job and eventually will output to Slack in some way. You can see here that we're starting to receive alerts, critical high temperature, humidity, and temperature. So that alert is constantly triggering. And that's just a great example on how you can use these pre-configured solutions, pick out some pieces that you want out of it and use them in your own solution, in your own IoT solution, to not reinvent the wheel at some point. Well, as you saw, we had IoT Hub sending messages to Stream Analytics. our rules were inputted or read from blob storage, we send an output to service bus and then receive the notification on Slack. The core component that we've extracted from the remote monitoring solution is here, just the streaming analytics query and the rules definition to feed the different rules towards that rules engine. The next software as a service offering that Microsoft has is a service that is called IoT Central. And as already mentioned, IoT Central, you can see that as the get started quickly with IoT, the Office 365 for IoT. So it allows you to connect devices. It has Edge support. You can ingest, visualize, you can create dashboard, you can create certain rules and actions on the data that is flowing through the system. If you want, you can also apply application templates. There's white labeling capabilities, multi-tenancy, and so on. So that's really a key game changer in IoT, allowing you to really get started quickly with IoT. With that said, that was a bit of a quick overview on the software as a service offerings regarding IoT. So remember, there is the pre-configured solutions, the solution accelerators that you can use, and IoT Central. The solution accelerators are extremely important for reference architecture. You can pick some pieces out of that and use them in your own solution, while IoT Central really allows you to get started with IoT super quickly, and yeah, continue with that. So the next area we're going to talk about is the Azure IoT Services. So, and remember the start of this talk, the Azure IoT Services are focusing on the platform as a service offering. So it's build your own IoT solutions. Important, what things you need to think about before you start implementing your platform as a service IoT platform. You have to make sure that you handle connectivity and device management well. So that's one of the question marks you have to solve before you start. So how will your devices connect? Are they able to connect themselves to your IoT solutions? Are they connected to the internet? Do they have, are they using, are they using some sort of protocols or anything else like that? So important, think about device and connectivity management. The next area is flexible and multi-tenant logic. You have to make sure that your IoT platform is capable to execute business logic in the most flexible possible way as possible. Make sure that you can easily redeploy parts of your solution. Make sure that you can easily handle device commands and so on. Also make sure that that you take multi-tenancy into account. If you have multiple consumers on your platform, make sure that your solution is ready to cope with that. Create insights. Of course, there's no IoT solutions without creating insights. So important is to have those insights created inside your IoT solutions. And more important, if you have multiple tenants, you as an IoT solution platform operator make sure that you are able to have those cross-tenant insights. For example, is my solution running correctly? Is my tenant configured okay? What is the overall thing I can learn from all the data that is flowing through my system? And then, of course, you need integration and flexibility. You need messaging capabilities, integration capabilities. For example, if you have an IoT solution that wants to integrate with Dynamics, field services, and so on, make sure that you can cover these things at hand. Each of those important things to think about comes with a whole area of services that are available for you to use. So there's IoT Hub for the device and connectivity management. There's container instance Kubernetes services to run your logic, to create insights or to do some actions on data. There's streaming analytics, Databricks, and so on. For your integration, there's the integration services with logic apps, API management, and services. So it's really bringing all these capabilities together to create an IoT solution that is that is really necessary for you to use, or that you can use and build a great IoT solution. Azure IoT Hub is the key feature or the key service to build enterprise-grade IoT solution. It allows you to support millions of devices and messages. It has multi-language support, open source SDKs. It supports both telemetry and commands, so you can process telemetry, but you can also send commands to the devices to make sure that, for example, a device restarts or trigger an update for a certain device. There's device management, device twins, and so on. There's IoT Hub is a global scale service, and also it has security baked in from the ground up. There's security per device. There's certificates, IP whitelisting, firmware and software updates can be triggered, and I believe recently there's or I think it was announced at Builds that there is VNet support available. So it's really about running your IoT Hub inside your own VNet. So Azure IoT Hub really plays a key component within your IoT solutions. So, and if we think about IoT scenarios in general, you will see that Azure IoT Hub is playing a key role inside of all of those things. So in this case, we have IoT Hub, and one of the easiest cases is that devices can or will or just connect directly to the hub. Devices connect over AMQP, MQTT, or HTTPS, and really directly transmit their data over the hub. The next case is when a device is not able to connect to IoT Hub itself, mainly because, for example, it doesn't support the AMQP, MQTT, or HTTPS protocol. For example, think of Bluetooth devices or narrowband IoT devices or so on. So these devices can then connect through what is called a field gateway. A field gateway is a gateway that is deployed outside the Azure network, that is close to the devices, and your devices are connecting to that gateway with the protocol they talk. For example, devices are connecting with Bluetooth to the field gateway, and then the field gateway does what is called a protocol translation from Bluetooth, sending over the message over AMQP, MQTT, or HTTPS towards IoT Hub. So that's a solution to connect devices that are unable to connect to the internet themselves. So another option is deploying your gateway in the cloud. For example, when your device has internet connectivity, but doesn't support any of these protocols, you can deploy your gateway in the cloud and basically do the same pattern. So your device is connecting to your gateway, and then your gateway is doing a protocol translation, sending data towards IoT Hub. And then, of course, there's the combination possible where you have devices being connected through a field gateway, and then your field gateway having a VPN enabled or talking co-op to a custom cloud gateway, and then in the end ending up in IoT Hub. So once your data is inside IoT Hub, you can start doing device management. You can have your management apps working on the device registry, sending commands, monitoring your devices, and so on. Again, there is no hard requirement that your management app or your service that it is running in Azure. You can run it as you want, as long as your management app is able to connect to IoT Hub. And once you have that figured out, basically the whole magical world of Azure is at your feet. So you can start doing some insights. You can work with time series insights. I will definitely come back to that later. You can work with Azure Maps, with functions, machine learning, and so on. And all that to start feeding your application, your dashboard, your APIs, your controllers, and so on. So that's what is the most common scenarios we see right now in the IoT world. In combination with IoT Hub, there is the device provisioning system, the device provisioning service. So, and you can see that device provisioning service as a sort of plug and play provisioning for IoT Hub. So what happens is that your device will connect to the device provisioning service, and based on some sort of rules and logic, the device provisioning service will create the device in the designated IoT Hub, and it will know exactly where and how a device should connect to what IoT Hub. Remember, this is a good example of a global IoT solution that has deployments in the US, India, and Japan. And you have a device coming online, and based on the area where it comes online, it will contact DPS service, and the DPS service will say, okay, hey, Mr. Device 1, please connect to the IoT Hub in India, and we will start processing your data over there. So that's really a good service to provision your data, or to provision your data en masse and on time series insights. I already briefly mentioned about it, and time series insight is there to visualize your data, your IoT data over a certain amount of time. it is serverless. So and you can model different structures and data and hierarchies. I have a demo coming up, so we will definitely talk some more about that later. So it has warm storage built in, allowing you to really have those sub-second queries of recent data. And then there is cold storage. You can bring your own storage and so on. And that is more for your multi-second queries, allowing you to really query data over a longer period of time. It has APIs that are being used, so you can perfectly hook in into time series insights, write your own APIs on top of that, and really bring your graphs or your telemetry visualization outside of time series insights. And even there's a possibility to connect to Power BI to show data inside Power BI. Let's maybe quickly jump to the demo that I've set up. So let's go to the dashboard. So what I did is I've created a logic apps that is for some reason not running anymore. Oh no, let's take that one. Sorry. So I've created a logic app, and what that logic app is doing is I'm on a recurring base. For example, every 8 minutes here in this case, I am querying an API, extracting the data, and then sending the event to an event. So in my case, I'm extracting weather data for Brussels, Helsinki, Los Angeles, Nice, and Sydney. I'm extracting that data and sending that towards event hubs. My event hub is then connected with my time series insights environment, where I can query the data over a long time. So let's see how that one looks like. So let's open up time series insights, and as you can see, this is what time series insights look like. On the left-hand side, you can see that I have created a hierarchy, and this was being defined by here by modeling out certain actions. If I want, I can, for example, add a couple of temperatures here. So let's add the temperatures. Let's have them shared for, so we have Sydney and Los Angeles, and maybe let's add Helsinki to show some difference in temperature. As you can see here, this shows now the value over 1 day, but what I can do is I can extend that query to have longer queries running. As you can see here, there is a yellow area, and this yellow area is showing me the hot area. So if I would go, as you can see, as I move in this area, you see that these queries are rather quickly. If I move outside this area, this data is being extracted from external storage, and you see that it took a bit more seconds to query. So in this case, we're querying the cold storage to go 21 days back in history. Let's go back and query some of those hot storage. What you can do is you can zoom here further down, and you can even, if you want, explore the raw events, what came in during the time. So you really have a view on the raw data that came in. If you want, you can also view some statistics, excuse me, and that will create some averages for you out of the box. So that's really a good way on visualizing your data and exploring the data at hand. So I see that there are some questions coming in. Let me quickly jump to the deck and see if theirs are related to time series insights. So someone is asking, what database does the time series insights use? So the time series insights is based on blob storage. So if you would go to the Azure portal, you can see, and if I take this, you can see that there's a storage account here. And if we take a look at the container here, you can see here that there are Parquet files in there to store that data. The data that is in hot, area is stored in time series insights itself, but it's not visible for you as a user. So the question is, I see there are more general questions that are not related to time series insight. If it's okay, I will handle those at the end of the sessions. But don't hesitate to keep those questions coming. What I want to mention is there are a lot of services in Azure that you can use. A great way to start or take a look at is the Azure Reference Architecture. That is a really good starting point to read on how to build native IoT solutions and how to help you get started with patterns that worked with other partners. So that's a really nice starting point for me. So Azure IoT Edge, as already mentioned, next to the software as a service offering, the platform as a service offering, it is one of the Edge capabilities is very important. Whether it's a mining remote area where internet connectivity is really bad, or you work at remote locations like big ships, having those cloud capabilities on the edge is really key to most of the IoT solution. In my opinion, I haven't seen any IoT solutions that doesn't require any sort of edge capability. So really having those cloud capabilities close to your devices is really important. So how can you see a pattern, an IoT pattern, compared with the edge pattern? So, for example, if you see an IoT pattern, what it typically is, those things are connected towards the cloud. You create insights and actions on that. When we introduce Edge, we see that we bring these insights and actions onto the device or close to the device. So you really bring those capabilities of having that close feedback loop close to your device. Think about self-driving cars. For example, if you have sensors in your self-driving car and you are you want to react quickly on certain actions, you don't want to that the data first goes to the cloud and then you have a reaction after a second or so. No, that second can mean a difference between you hitting another car or driving over another person or not. So having that quick feedback is really important to have. Azure IoT Edge comes with an Edge runtime, and it's those are just some key components allowing you to run your module management and run basically the runtime itself. And then you can introduce what is called modules, and modules are just about adding capabilities to the runtime, and you can see those as those are basically Docker containers allowing you to create some sort of processing pipeline. Again, you can create those in the language of your choice. And then all the configuration, monitoring, deployment, and so on is done through IoT Hub and is being connected to the cloud. So let's talk a bit on the road ahead. So what we're seeing is that there's a new trend of IoT solutions emerging. So what customers, it used to be all about just having your devices connected, your devices transmitting data, and then creating insights on the data. But now customers, what they want to do is they want to have more connected environments. They want to model their physical environment first and then keep that environment up to date with IoT data. So it's no longer the asset that is the key component. It is having those connected environments, really bringing those experiences to people and leveraging IoT or leveraging data to really bring additional values or additional experiences to people. So we're talking about connected environments, and really that will eventually involve in really having those connected ecosystems. And this is where Azure Digital Twins come into play. Digital Twin was just G8, I think, or has to be G8 somewhere this month. Well, we're almost close to the end, so I'm expecting it really soon. So, and it is there to create the next generation of IoT solutions. What it's allowed is you can describe your digital twin or your digital environment in what is called an open modeling language. For example, I will show it to you in the demo. I have modeled out my house digitally, and what I can do is with that model, I can feed data into that model and then keep that model up to date and really start business processes upon that model. Digital Twin allows you also to output certain data to time series insight and so on. So let me jump to the Azure portal quickly. So let me switch, first of all, the tenants. This will go fine, yes. So what I did is I provisioned a digital twin, and Azure Digital Twin currently is just a set of underlying APIs. You activate the service here to send data towards it. You need to use the SDK or the API to transmit data. However, what you can do is you can connect certain endpoints. In my case, I have connect points to Event Grid and Event Hub, transmitting data towards that with the event routes. So, and what is really neat is, let me just start this up. This is the Digital Twin Explorer. This is an open source visualization tool built by Microsoft, allowing you to visualize how your twin looks like. In my case, as already said, I've modeled out my house, and all goes well, this should pop up soon, hopefully. See what this gives. So it's coming. So what I can do here is I can run the query. So what I will do now is I will query my digital twin environment, and you can see here that I've created a graph of my house. And if we would take a look at some of these digital twins, you can see here that these temperatures are being updated by IoT Hub, by using the backend API of digital twins. And this digital twins, it's a new service, but it will play a key role in the future of the different IoT solutions that that Azure is bringing up. Oh, sorry for that. So with that said, we're coming close to the hour, so I will leave some additional time for questions. But as already mentioned, one of the key thing that you need to think about when you start doing IoT is, will you go for platform as a service or for software as a service? So think about the biggest advantage of platform as a service also comes with the biggest challenge, the fact that you're in full control of feature sets and scalability. With software as a service, you give away a bit of the control, but it allows you to get started more quickly. For customers that really need full control over their platform, and the feature set is really crucial for their business, platform typically brings the biggest value. The most important thing is when building an IoT solution or building a cloud solution in general is to learn from your mistake and improve your platform continuously. And as already said at the start, do not treat IoT as a simple project on the side, but if you are starting or planning to start with IoT, really think about integrating IoT strategically within your company. With that said, I see that there are quite some questions. Questions going on, so I will take them one by one. In the meanwhile, do not hesitate to post some more questions. I believe there's a voucher being handed out today for people that are asking questions. If you have questions after the sessions, or you can find me on Twitter, you can drop me an email, or you can always visit my repositories on GitHub. So let's take a look at the questions. So first question, what database does Time Series Insight use? As already mentioned, it's the built-in database, and the background is used by blob storage, where the Parquet files are stored. Is there a possibility to have offline collector, like a proxy server that collects all the data and then sends it to Azure? Yes, let me just quickly go back to, for example, here. Then we would talk about here being in the Azure IoT Edge case. So if you need some sort of offline collector, then the Azure IoT Edge runtime is there for you. So what it allows is the runtime allows you to work disconnected from IoT Hub. However, if you need new deployments, of course, it needs to connect to IoT Hub. But the Edge runtime is perfectly capable of running on example, on ships that sail out for weeks, and then collect data while it's in there. Once it has a stable internet connection, it can upload all its data towards IoT Hub and then do the further processing over there. But definitely, it is possible to have that offline collector over there. And yeah, IoT Edge is a good choice over there. So AMQP uses TLS for encryption. Is the version of TLS the IoT device used based on their firmware version or changeable by any means? That's a good question. I'm not sure, but I think that IoT Hub enforces you to use the TLS version that they are using. So, but I'm writing that down because I'm not sure of that question, Einar. Sorry. Don't hesitate to reach out for me on that, and I will come back to that. So my problem is how to start. What would you recommend to do to begin in Azure, and where to start from? That's a very good question. There's a lot of things where to start from, and Azure is really really big in that sense, as we now have touched only certain IoT areas. But again, try to figure out what interests you. Are you more a data guy? Are you more interested in IoT? Are you more an app builder or something like that? And based on that, I would recommend to definitely check out the Microsoft documentation, as usually, for example, if you go to the IoT Hub documentation, you will see that there's usually some nice tutorials over there, and so on. If you really are interested in IoT, there is something called Microsoft IoT Schools, if I remember. I should look it up. But that's a school. No, that's IoT at school. It's IoT Schools training. Let me see. There used to be a quite interesting way of getting started with IoT. Yeah, it is called IoT Schools or something, and it allows you. It's again a set of combination of those docs.microsoft.com tutorials to allow you to get started quickly. Next question. I have a Raspberry Pi device that is collecting data. What areas I have looked to be using it with Prometheus? Would be nice to push this to Azure and so on. So if you have that, you can definitely push that data towards Azure. So what I would recommend is in that case, if you have that Raspberry Pi and you're managing it on your own, it is not even necessary to use IoT Hub to push that data. You can set up an event hub and push the data towards that. If you have difficulties of integrating your Raspberry Pi with Event Hub, what you can do is write maybe a wrapper API on top of that, that you can just call a post to that API, and then your API can then transmit the data towards Event Hubs and get that data inside of that. So I think we are through all the questions. As said, if there's anything else that comes up, drop me a line. I will definitely share the slides. Yeah, if there are no more questions, okay, I see that someone. Okay, so this is the IoT school that is changed to IoT learning. Thanks for pointing that out. So, and this is really a great set of modules to get started with. Yeah, there's IoT, but if we click out the filter, it allows you to basically get started on Azure with everything you want. So, for example, App Services also has a great set of modules over there. So definitely check this out. Thanks for sharing. So I was living a bit in the past with the IoT school. So with that said, thank you everyone for attending. Drop me a line if there's anything, and I will be happy to answer that in the future. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Glen. Just before you go, I would like to thank you for presenting this to us and giving us your time. It was very informative and good presentation. So I see that there are a lot of questions here, and people are really looking into this, seems.
Yep.
And also to everybody, we will announce the giveaway just after the lecture. So thank you, Glen, and hope you will see you in Iceland sometime soon.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
and I will send you the slides over so you can share that with the attendees.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.